Hello, Grio fam, and welcome to another edition of The Hill with April Ryan. We have a lot to cover this week, so let's get right to it. We start with the looming government shutdown. Washington is abuzz as Republicans can't pull together a budget deal with their leader in the House, Speaker Kevin McCarthy. This is a big deal for all of us. If the government were to shut down this time, millions of civilian workers would be impacted and services to Americans would also be affected. Republican Armstrong Williams says there will be a price to pay for those holding up a budget deal to prevent a shutdown.
And the problem that the extremists, and I hate to label them extremists, that they have with this, then nothing changes. It's business as usual. There will be no cuts. There'll be no reduction. And they have a problem with that. They want to see some real cuts in our spending. And listen, it's a noble idea, but you and I, April, know that it's just not realistic.
The shutdown is also top of mind for President Biden. While speaking at the Congressional Black Caucus dinner, the president went into detail about the consequences of a shutdown. The president went on to add that a government shutdown can affect everything from food safety to cancer research to Head Start for children. Switching gears to education, this is HBCU week, and members of the White House Initiative on HBCUs met with the president and the administration officials to discuss their recommendations regarding the needs for HBCUs, which includes everything from infrastructure to sustainability.
First is physical and technological infrastructure. We already know we provide quality education. We want to make sure that our living and learning spaces match that quality. Second is research, particularly as it relates to federal grant awards. We want to get our fair share of that and make sure that we have the capacity to deliver in kind. Third is connected pathways. And we really think the opportunity for our students, many of which are first generation college students, is that we support them throughout the process of matriculation, whether that be undergraduate or graduate. Then the final one is HBCU preservation and growth.
However, what is expected to be a game changer is a recent letter from Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack and the Secretary of Education, Miguel Cardona, asking southern states to increase funding for HBCUs at a tune of nearly $13 billion. That's billion with a B.
Every young person in each of those states has great potential, and whether they're going to an 1890s land-grant university or an 1862 land-grant university, they deserve the opportunity to maximize their potential. That's tough to do if you're significantly and inequitably funding one set of universities versus another.
It's about what's best for HBCUs, and i.e. what's best for HBCU students. Funds are needed for scholarships, for internships, for program infrastructure, housing, to become research one institutions, to become greater researchers in our own institutions. So the money, the funds are critically needed, and it's just a pity that it took a letter to bring it to the attention that this much money was actually taken from HBCUs over such a long period of time.
A new Pew Research poll shed some light on how Black Americans feel about the news media. The study questions 5,000 Black Americans over 2.5 years. Among its findings, Black America does not like how Black people are depicted in the news. We're also more likely to consume news from social media, but trust network and local news more than social media.
I think one of the really important things of the study is that while there was a lot of focus on the negative perceptions that Black Americans do have of coverage of Black people, there was also some questions that we focused on being a little bit more forward-looking, about thinking about some potential solutions to what Black Americans may see as racist or racially insensitive coverage. And what we do see, there was one common theme that arose in a lot of that, and that was the role of educating journalists.
The study also found when respondents felt there was unfair coverage, Blacks either said journalists need to add more history to the story, or they have an agenda, or they're racist. And it's becoming repetitive. Another legal setback for former President Donald John Trump. In the civil suit filed by New York Attorney General Tish James, a New York judge has ruled Donald Trump committed fraud while building his real estate empire. This is just the latest blow to the former president as he prepares to deal with criminal cases in several different jurisdictions tied to the January 6th insurrection. Officer Harry Dunn was on Capitol Hill that day, on the front lines. He has been very vocal about the need to hold those responsible accountable.
One of the main things that I wanted was accountability and justice for my coworkers, justice for this country, because America was the victim. You know, obviously we were victims too as the police officers, but all of America was a victim that day of what occurred because it was an attack on our democracy, like you said. So one of the things that I really wanted was justice for America, but also accountability for the people that were responsible for those actions that day. Not just the people, like a lot of people refer to them as the foot soldiers, but all the way up to Donald Trump, the instigator, the ringleader, who incited it. And many people have used the term that America was a powder keg and Donald Trump lit the fuse. So to see these charges being brought towards him, it's finally happening, that accountability is starting to take form.
Dunn talks about what he experienced on January 6th and his very difficult road to recovery and PTSD in his new book, Standing My Ground. Well, that's it for this edition of theGrio's The Hill with April Ryan. See you next time, where we focus on the news for us and about us. Take care. Peace.